Raise your hand if you've ever experienced buyer's remorse. Sometimes we buy something and it seems like a good idea at the time, but then we bring it home or maybe we use it a couple times and we start to kind of regret our decision to purchase that. So maybe it doesn't live up to our expectations, or we don't really use it a lot, or it doesn't really match our lifestyle. Even after living a minimalist life for a long time, there are still some things that have resulted in me feeling regretful about my purchase later, and doing some reflection about it made me see that there are some common themes or patterns to these purchases that come back again and again, and that will basically always result in buyer's remorse for me. So today I want to share with you 20 things that I will always regret buying or spending money on, and I've learned these just kind of like through trial and error. But my hope with this video is that it can help you to also avoid making the same purchasing mistakes again and again, and to also spot some common themes or patterns for yourself as to why you often end up regretting a purchase or even decluttering it later. Number one on the list is heavy earrings. I will always regret buying earrings that are kind of heavy, and I am actually quite sensitive, and especially as a highly sensitive person, I think many of you might relate to this as well. We are so much extra sensitive even to how things feel on our body. When it comes to heavy earrings for me, I'm not wearing earrings today, but I just find that they kind of pull on my ear too much, and after wearing them for like 5-10 minutes, I'm already like really feeling them, being really aware of them, and then after 30 minutes or something, I actually get like a good headache from it. So I try to avoid heavy earrings. Anything that's like a little bit bigger or like a big hoop starts to really bother me. I have one pair of gold kind of hoopy earrings that are still like not heavy enough so I can wear them relatively comfortably, but even with those, I'm not going to be wearing them for a full day. So if I'm wearing earrings for a full day, I'll just go with very light earrings or like a simple stud or something so that it doesn't bother me. Number two is anything one size fits all. If there's one thing I've learned in life is that one size does not fit all, even if it says that it does. The other day I was looking for underwear and I found one in a store that was all organic cotton and it was seamless, so it also doesn't have one of those elastic things that I really don't like, and you're supposed to like not see them under your clothing and stuff. So I was super intrigued and I just looked for my size and I couldn't find any like size indication of those underwear. So I went to the salesperson and I asked like, can you help me find my size? And she says, no, they're one size fits all. And I was just like, what? Because they were like this big. I'm not kidding, they were this big and you could stretch them out, but like you can see where I'm going with this. Like that would be so uncomfortable. And she said, yeah, no, they really fit all, but no, they did not. So anything one size fits all is a no for me, unless it's like something like a scarf or something that actually is one size fits all. Number three is smart home stuff that doesn't follow my home's rules. So a good example of this is that a couple years ago we bought a robot vacuum, and I did a ton of research and I read all the reviews, and I was really sure that this would make my life easier and that I wouldn't have to vacuum as much. So I was very excited. All in all, there were tons of reasons why our robot vacuum didn't work out for us. I actually made a whole video on it over on Patreon, sharing my experience and how we eventually end up selling it again and going for a regular cordless vacuum, which fit our life much better. But the point is that these things are smart, but they're only smart in the way that they are supposed to do what they are supposed to do. And if your situation or your home is a little bit different than the rules of one of those appliances are, then it's going to be really hard. So we had to make several changes both before and after the thing was supposed to go vacuum, and then also clean the vacuum again later ourselves. The whole thing was not easier than just vacuuming our apartment ourselves. So when it comes to smart home stuff, really try to think that the rules that the appliance has and like the way it is supposed to work, if that fits your home, then it is likely going to be really nice. But if your home has a ton of different like exceptions that you would have to modify it, then this might really become one of those purchasing regrets for you. Number 4 is money you spend on convenience out of habit. One of the things that I actually really enjoy spending money on is if it is out of convenience, but it really is like a lifesaver in the moment. Like it really helps you get out of a pinch, or it is something that I really enjoy, like getting food delivered from a restaurant that I actually really like, and then having it be an exception that my boyfriend and I can really enjoy together, like vegan sushi or something. Like it's actually like nice. But if you're spending money on convenience out of habit, I find that the specialty kind of wears off quite quickly, and then it just becomes an expense that can really add up and cost you a lot of money. So a good example of that would be getting a takeout coffee every day. That's like $4 or $5 every day, and that can really add up. So in that case, I would try to change that, unless it is something that is like a really special moment for you. Every once in a while you go and get your specialty coffee at this place you really like, and it's like this nice moment. That's different. But I'm talking out of like habit, and you're not really thinking about it too much. Number 5 is a big one that I had to learn over and over again, and that is clothing items in several colors. So I don't know about you, but I don't particularly enjoy going out shopping for clothing. So if I end up finding, let's say, a shirt that I really like the fit of, I would think, you know what, I'm just going to buy this in 2 or 3 different colors, and then I can just always wear something that fits nice. So while the thought was a positive one, what always ends up happening with me is that I wear one color. Just the color that I am the most excited by, that fits me the best and that I feel the best in. And the other colors just don't get worn at all or as much. And then I see them in my closet and I'm like, oh, I should wear those other colors. But you know, you will always just go for your favorite anyway. So what I do now, even if it is something that I'm really excited by and they have a bunch of different colors, I will try them on, see which color works best for me, and just get that one color. Number 6, most stationery items. I actually fell for this last year, like at the end of last year again, when I bought one of those like little memo pads that was so cute. But I have to be honest with myself, I rarely use these kinds of items. I rarely use paper, I rarely write with pen, and we have a bunch of different pens that we got like for free at different places, so I am set. I don't need any more stationery items. And the thing is, like, they always look so cute, and they always just like, it's one of those fun things to purchase. I'm sure many of you can relate, but for me, I have to be honest, I usually end up regretting these kinds of purchases because they're just not things that I actively use. All right, number 7 is things like clothing items that are tight-fitting, that I can only wear on my skinny days. You know, the human body is always changing. Some days I feel a little bloated, some days not. Some days I gain a pound or two, like a couple weeks later, maybe I lose a pound or two. Like, your body is always fluctuating a little bit, and I like my wardrobe to be accommodating so that I always feel comfortable no matter what I'm wearing. And sometimes I go shopping and I see something and it's rather tight fitting, and I feel like, you know, I kind of look slamming in that item, but I already kind of know that this is not going to be comfortable for me to wear on the days when I feel a little bit bloated or maybe a little bit heavier. And those kinds of clothing items always end up being clothing items that I regret and hardly ever wear. And this also goes just for clothing items that are unrealistic for your lifestyle and for your preferences in general. So sometimes you find something and it kind of looks really nice, but you have to also kind of be honest with yourself, be realistic. Do you actually see yourself wearing that? Because if it is for a specific weather type, when that weather actually doesn't really happen that much where you live, or it's for a specific occasion that doesn't actually happen in your life that much, then this is likely going to be something that you'll regret buying. So I try to make sure that my purchases are for the realistic me and the realistic lifestyle that I actually have. All right, number 8 is avocado toast and smoothie bowls. So this is a purchase that I would make when going out for breakfast or lunch. For different reasons. The avocado toast, as much as I love the taste of avocado toast, I just find it so overpriced when you get that in a cafe, unless they actually make it like super special and they really do something different with it. But usually it's just mashed avocado on toast with a little, like, I don't know, chili flakes or maybe a little kimchi or something, and it is so easy to make that stuff yourself at home for only a fraction of the cost. So if I'm going to spend like 10 euros on food, I would like it to be something that I can't just easily throw together in a minute or two for only a fraction of the cost. I would like it to be a little bit more like special. So avocado toast is usually not an option for me. And then the smoothie bowls, as much as I love the taste of a smoothie, I am not full. I don't feel full after eating a smoothie bowl. I also don't feel full after drinking a smoothie. I don't personally get people who drink a smoothie for breakfast because I get hungry like 15 minutes later, and it's the same with the smoothie bowl. And smoothie bowls are very expensive, at least here in the Netherlands, but I'm just gonna be hungry again 15 minutes later, so I just don't think that smoothie bowls are worth the money for me. And even worse is when you get a smoothie bowl or avocado toast and then the person that you are with actually gets something that looks so good and you're just like, oh, I wish I ordered that. Number 9 is pants that I can't try on first. So I feel like we all have one category of clothing that you just want to try first because 9 out of 10 times it doesn't fit you right. And for me, that's pants. Maybe your arms are really long or short and it's shirts or something. Like, we all have something that is 9 out of 10 times not a good fit. And for me, that's pants. So I have tried ordering pants online because, as I said before, I don't really enjoy shopping for clothing that much. But I always end up returning them and feeling bad about it because that item was shipped to me, then I need to ship it back. So there's all that transport that was just for no point at all. So I really try to make myself actually fit the pants. Try them on first before I buy them, and don't buy them online because it's just such a waste. And 9 out of 10 times I'm not going to be keeping the pants anyway. Number 10 is sweet granola bars or protein bars. So this is something that I would typically buy if I'm out somewhere and I'm a little hungry or I'm feeling a little like peckish and I don't have something with me to eat, and then I would buy a granola bar or some kind of protein bar, and they are always so sweet, and I'm just not used to that because I don't typically eat a lot of sugar. So, and I usually make my own food. So if I buy a bar like that, it's so sweet. It actually hurts my teeth sometimes, and also it gives me a sugar rush, and then I actually don't feel full or energized or anything after eating one of those things. So I always just find them a little bit disappointing, and I try to avoid needing to purchase them in like a last minute effort to not faint from having low blood sugar. So I will just bring something with me if I can, like a little container with some nuts and some raisins or something. It's much better for me, no added sugar or anything like that, and also it saves me money. I think there are protein bars or granola bars that actually are quite healthy, but most of the time they are marketed as rather healthy, but it's really not as healthy as you may think, unfortunately. Next up is subscriptions and memberships that I'm not really getting a lot of use out of. After having experienced this myself a bunch of times, I am now so careful about purchasing a new subscription or something like that. I really try to think like, am I getting a lot of use and value out of this? Do I actually see myself using this a lot? Because if the answer is yes, then I personally think that subscriptions are great because they are usually good value for money and really convenient if it is something that you actually like using. Because if it is something that you have to make yourself use, or it's just something that you don't really have time for fitting your schedule, or you have 6 different streaming subscriptions, you can't watch everything everywhere, so it's just going to be a waste of money. And also kind of for me, kind of like this mental load, this to do, like, oh, I should do that subscription more, or I should watch that more, or I should go to the gym more, or I should do whatever kind of subscription I have more because, you know, I'm not using it and it's a waste. So it's all this like mental chatter. Number 12 of the things that I will always regret buying or spending money on. This is a big one that I've been burned on so often, and it is specialty care or dry clean only clothing items or home items. Anything that I cannot just throw in the wash, basically. And the reason that I've been burned by this so often is that those kinds of fabrics always look so beautiful to me. And then I see something in the store, I'm like, oh, this is beautiful. I'm gonna be good, like I'm gonna do it this time. This is worth it. Like I'm really going to hand wash this or bring it to the dry cleaners. Like this is an exception, I will do it this time. And then I'm not going to do it. I just know now that I'm not the person who does things like that, and I will just not do it. And I'll regret buying it, because that's the thing with buying things that are very beautiful. No matter how beautiful they are, they do just kind of, you get used to them, and you don't have that love that you had for them when you first purchased it or when you first wore it. And then it just becomes another item that is dragging you down and causing you to have to spend a lot of time and energy and possibly even money on maintaining it. So this is just, as you know, even if I think something is absolutely beautiful and gorgeous, I know of myself, I'm not going to do it, so I only buy things that I can just throw in the washing machine. Number 13 is things I had to replace because I didn't take good care of them. And you know, as they say, if you take care of your things end up taking care of you. I really agree with that statement. And if it is something that I just kind of by my own fault had to replace because I didn't really take good care of it, that is always something that really puts the buyer's remorse in me. It doesn't happen that often, fortunately, because I've always been someone who took really good care of their things, or at least I try to. But if I have to replace something just because I didn't take care of it, that's always a really big one for me. Number 14 is purses or bags that have a metal chain that goes on your shoulder. But basically this point also goes for anything that is itchy, scratchy, harsh materials that don't feel nice on your skin, or if you have a t-shirt with a print, but the print is kind of just hard and it's just like glued on, where it doesn't like actually fold with the fabric, it's just like a really harsh print. Some things you just have to learn through trial and error, because I used to be really obsessed with these beautiful purses with the chains, and I thought that was so beautiful until I got one and realized that those chains hurt. They are so uncomfortable, they are so not practical, and it's just something that I would rather avoid in the future. And especially, as I said in the beginning of this video, if you're also a highly sensitive person, if you're just really sensitive to how the fabrics feel on your skin, or if there's like an itchy tag or things like that, you will know what I'm talking about. You won't use it, you won't wear it because it is too uncomfortable, it's too distracting, and it's always just like there, just making you feel awful. So those are the things that I typically tend to regret. So what I do with new things is I do try to take a moment to think like, is this going to bother me in any way? And if so, do I think that that is like okay enough, or is this actually something that I'm not going to be able to ignore? Number 15 is cheap jewelry or costume jewelry that will quickly tarnish or discolor. This is me talking to myself 10 years ago because I used to have quite a collection of like different jewelry items and things like that, and I would just when I was younger, I actually felt like that was supposed to discolor or tarnish after a while, and then I would just have to throw it out and get something new that was really cheap. And that was kind of how I used to deal with it, until I learned that there are also higher quality jewelry pieces that can last you years and years and years if you clean them and take care of them, and they won't discolor. So I've learned that lesson by now, but it is still sometimes kind of tempting if I'm at a store and they have these really cute like earring studs with a little, I don't know, bunny or something. That always gets me a little. And then I'm like, oh, you know, just this once. Number 16 is scent balls or scented stuff for your laundry that isn't just laundry detergent and a fabric softener. I know you can also not use fabric softener. I personally try to use fabric softener. We also don't have a dryer, so keep that in mind. I line dry all my clothing and all my laundry. But if my laundry smells too strong of like a perfume, it's kind of like the same with the scratchy and itchy clothing. It starts to really distract me and bother me. And I'm like constantly smelling my shirt or the dish towels that we use to dry off my teacups after using them. If they smell too strong of like a perfume, then the next time I'm using those teacups to drink tea, my tea tastes like the perfume from the tea towel. So, and also, I mean, these things are just kind of like a waste of money. They're not great for the environment either. So I try to stay away from all the scented things, most of the scented things. I like a little bit of perfume, but like not too much. And number 17 in that same category is scented candles. And this is actually something that I fell for again last year because I was like, you know, scented candles, if I can find something that has vegan, like a plant-based wax and it doesn't have chemicals and stuff, then it's nice, it smells nice. And sometimes you just want to do something nice for yourself. You want to treat yourself to something. And as a minimalist, I tend not to buy things that like last. So I like to, if I want to treat myself to something, buy something consumable. And then I thought, you know, a scented candle might be nice, you know. But I found the same result of these scented candles that I found years and years ago. I regret purchasing them. Either they don't smell like anything much and I'm just like burning, I don't know, something. You never really know what's in these things. Or they smell too strong and I get a headache. So it's just, the scented candles are something that for me falls in the category of super nice in theory, but in practice they always disappoint me one way or the other, and I just really have reminded myself not to buy scented candles anymore. Number 18 is also something that I had to remind myself of a couple years ago, and that is things from discount stores. Sometimes you find things that really are a gem, like they actually are good quality, they're not expensive, and you end up using them for years, and that is great. But I do always want to make sure that it is actually good. So when we first moved in here, I wanted to purchase a wall clock, and I found one at Action, which is a discount store here in the Netherlands, very popular. They have really affordable home stuff and cleaning stuff and food even. They have a bunch of things. And I found a clock, and on the picture in the box, the clock was exactly what I was looking for. And it was like €8 or something. And I thought, sold. Great, this is exactly what I need. And I bought it, I brought it home, I took it out of the box. The whole thing, it was like a wooden wall clock, but it had splinters on it that actually like hurt my fingers. And the numbers were not even, it was crooked. So it was actually like kind of crappy, and I returned it and reminded myself that, you know, if things like that look good in the box, you want to make sure that it is actually looking that good. And oftentimes I find with stores like that, unfortunately, that is not the case. And you know, also I do want to try and make sure to think about, you know, where things come from, who made them, what are they made of, you know, what's the impact of an item. Same reason I don't purchase things at Temu, Shein, AliExpress, all those stores, because if I do buy something, you know, at the Action, the Dutch version of that, it usually disappoints. And a side note to that, you also want to make sure that they don't have any toxic ingredients, especially with things like cookware, or things you like put in on your body or things you eat from. You really want to make sure that you're not buying things that have toxic chemicals in them, and unfortunately that is often the case with stores like that. Number 19, this takes me back. Heels, just heels in general. I don't own any kind of heels anymore, and the last time I bought heels, I think I was still working in an office back then. That was like 7-8 years ago probably, but I basically always regretted my purchases when I bought heels. I've always loved the look of heels. I think they can be really, really beautiful, but obviously so uncomfortable, so bad for your feet. And also what always really bugged me about wearing heels, especially if you have a thinner heel and it has a kind of like a lining, like a fabric lining, then if you maybe scuff it or something, it gets these really like ugly scuffs on it, but it can also just rip the fabric of the heel because maybe you stepped in between street tiles or something. That used to happen to me all the time, and I twisted my ankles in them more times than I can count. I even fell off my bike wearing heels one time. I broke my pinky. So no more heels for me. I've learned my lesson. And number 20, last but not least, is body mists, body sprays, body glitter, anything, yeah, that you put on your body. Basically, that's not lotion. If you have dry skin like me, then you know what I'm talking about. These things really, really dry out your skin. At least that's my experience with them. I like smelling nice, and I also like smelling nice not wearing perfume necessarily. So I have a deodorant that smells really nice, and if you have like a body lotion that smells nice or something, I enjoy that. Like sometimes I'm just kind of like smelling myself. Anyway, with a body mist, they just dry out my skin so much, and I haven't used glitter in a very long time, but I thought I'd include it as well. If it has alcohol, which they usually do, it just dries out my skin so much, and I've learned to not go that route. If I want to smell nice, I will just use like a body oil or some kind of body lotion. But 9 out of 10 times, or probably 99 out of 100 times, I just have a lotion that's unscented because it's actually good for my skin, and it actually doesn't like make my skin feel very dry. So in the end, I just prefer my skin feeling nice over having something that like puts on an extra smell, if you know what I mean. In the end, what I think all these 20 things have in common is just getting to know yourself well and being realistic, because marketing is always around us and it's always telling us that if we buy this, then that will be better, and if we buy that, then this will be better. And also, if you see things in the store, they are always styled beautifully. Everything fits and matches, and you're just like, oh, that looks so nice. And maybe you see an ad or an influencer using something, you think that must be nice. And sometimes it could be, if it is actually suited to your life, to your body, to your preferences, then it can be a really nice thing. So it has to do with knowing yourself and not kidding yourself, because every time I end up buying something for my fantasy self rather than for my real self, I will end up regretting it. And I think that that is one of the best things about minimalism and simplifying, because you learn to tune out all the external voices and tune in more to your own voice, your own preferences. And as you start to get to know yourself better, you will know what will fit you and what will not. I would love to know from you, what is the last thing that you purchased that you ended up regretting, and when was that? I would love to hear that in the comments. I always love reading your stories, so if you want to share, then feel free to do so. And if you like my videos and you want more of them, then feel free to also join me on Patreon. By the time this video goes up, I will have posted my first video of the month on Patreon. I always post 2 extra videos a month over there, plus some like behind the scenes content of my life. And by joining, you are also supporting my work as a content creator. So it's a win-win. Feel free to check it out, patreon.com/simplehappyzen. Thank you so much for still being here and sticking around until the end of the video. I really appreciate that. And as always, questions, comments, conversations down below. Have a wonderful, wonderful day, and I will see you all again really soon. Bye-bye. You know, another thing I don't like about smoothie bowls, they often add those ingredients that are kind of hard to eat. You know, like goji berries that are so hard, or like those cacao nibs that are just like crunchy but in a horrible way. And it's always just a little bit like you have to actually be careful eating it.